Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh yeah. Look at that face. Oh yeah.
Started.
А что делать-то? Я не понял. Что, блядь, снимай?
A presentar también para que ya lo vean, lo conozcan y lo disfruten. Así que vamos a ver esta colaboración con Emanuel del Real, meme de Café Tacu.
She's gonna help you get.
Ponta da língua, onde é que a gente vai? Olha lá, os turistas croatas, tudo bem, todo mundo muito simpático, todo mundo hermano aqui.
Líneas maniobra.
¡Oye! Desubicado.
¿Te acordáis del video? Había un video.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit! That's really sexy. Are you okay? Yeah. I died.
Rat call, the said I want this masculinity bag. Your little swagger, what you drinking? Hennessy, Jack, Patron, energy drink.
A la izquierda, doble a la izquierda.
Camino Ripio.
A la izquierda, a la derecha. Ripio, Ripio. No, pero la gracia.
Lo mataron, lo mataron.
No me acuerdo qué.
Oye, déjale. Ya está camión. No, no hay que ir.
¿Qué es eso?
Ya.
Ahora, ¿cómo me va? Es que ya caché porque las niñas se sentaron acá atrás.
No.
Sí, se sentaron ahí, por eso se les veía así.
Mentira,
No, se sentaron más adelante.
mentira.
NHL, well, that's his girlfriend right there, Kate Upton. So let's just get right to it. I figured I'd put that in there for you and for Randy.
did for me.
And, you know,
This is his girlfriend.
all of the viewers there. This
The
is
SI
the
cover
reason
model.
why supposedly Justin Verlander did not pitch very well.
Oh my god, baby.
I'm okay. Are you okay? Oh, I'm suing. Are you okay? I'm fine.
Mamita, mamita, de pasajero, de pasajero.
Cuando hay un lomo de toro se levanta la colita, ¿verdad?
Ahora sí, lomo toro.
Lomo toro, lomo toro.
No te muevas aquí. Ahí.
Hoy tiene un pelo.
Ahí. Lomo toro. Extraordinario. Oye, y con esto hemos rellenado.
Look towards me.
Get your
Doing you yet? Doing it? Oh my fucking god! I can't believe I'm doing this right now. This is the worst idea. Okay, it's playing. You're good. You got it. You got it. You got it.
I got that on camera!
You got it? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah? Cool.
He's like, oh, you're out, go.
Yeah, but that was disappointing.
It's graceful. It's graceful. She's nearly there. Go on, Daddy, go on.
Oh my god!
Whoa! You know, just being late. This is my scene. I'm used to this type of thing. You know, doing what I do best. Oh shit!
Brian and Holly have.
It's good.
And Pam Oliver, wham! Let me tell you, that ball.
Alex, it's gonna be so okay. I should die.
Just go for it. Yeah, I'm pissing off.
Oh my god!
驚嘅，唔過到底會同到那片呢，我就一下就嚟吃糖啦。
Gloria Estefan is here. She has sold more than 75 million albums. She has had 15 #1 hit songs. She is worth over $200 million, some say. She comes a long way from the poverty of her childhood. Born in Havana, she fled Castro's Cuba with her family at the age of 2. After a painful childhood during which she lost her father, she managed to discover her passion for music. After years as the lead singer of the Miami Sound Machine, she was at the top of the charts when in 1990 a bus accident put her career and her life in jeopardy. After months of grueling therapy, she made a triumphant return with her solo release, Into the Light. Her latest CD is called Gloria, and I am very pleased to have Gloria on this broadcast at long last. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and I'm a big fan as well. I've been
Thank you.
following you all through your career.
For a long time we've
I'm
done
happy
this.
to be here.
Thank you very much. What brings you here is the new album, Gloria. Tell me about it.
Well, this album is kind of a celebration. I think it's a pre-year 2000 party, top to bottom dance. It's the first time I've done one genre, which means the ballads aren't in there, and I'm very well known for the ballads. And it's how I'm feeling now. I feel very celebratory and very party-oriented. I had, like, as you mentioned in the intro,
It's time to party.
I've kind of had my adolescence backwards. You know, most people have carefree childhood and have a lot of fun there. I'm having fun now, and that's what that reflects.
Now you want to act.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting for me. It's really a growth. It's a craft that I'm honing at this moment. I'm preparing because
Taking lessons.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely very different from what I do. But it's very exciting for me at this point in my career to be able to grow in a certain area, try to give my fans a little more of a feeling of who I am and what I love about this business.
You could have been Evita.
Yes.
You turned it down.
I did because, first of all, I thought Madonna did a great job and she really wanted that piece. But it was a very controversial subject. You know, Evita was saint to some, sinner to some, and being a Hispanic, I really had no control over how she was portrayed in a film, and I didn't want to carry a picture on the first time out. It's a lot of pressure, and enjoyability is a big factor in what I do. So it was just not the right thing for me.
So how do you fashion a career now? I mean, if you turn down something like that, saying, I don't want to take that step that soon, you look for roles which will give you more than a cameo but less than a starring.
Exactly. Something that has, you know, a great ensemble piece, something like Steel Magnolias was for Daryl Hannah way back when. Something that's good director that I can learn from, and an ensemble cast that that'll bring something out of you, that'll help you, you know, to really be a part of that world. And I'm ready. I'm really excited about it. It makes me, you know, feel good about that.
I mean, do you want to fashion a career without sort of identical kind of equivalency, like Barbra Streisand, where you can continue to sing but also move into films?
Exactly. That's a good. Of course, Streisand has been in films forever, and she's excellent at it. And something like Harry Connick has been doing, you know, these little roles here and there. Bon Jovi has done, you know, some things.
Very serious about it.
Yeah, exactly. I am serious. I don't want to just do anything, which is what's taking so long, because I do get a lot of offers, but I want to do something that's right for me. You know, I carry a lot of baggage from the musical side. I don't want to disappoint my fans as well, or myself. You know what I do.
Why do you think you've made it so big in music?
It's got to be a lot of things. I mean, fortunate, first of all, that my audience has allowed me to grow and evolve. And I've really tried to take them by the hand, step by step, little by little, making some changes that they can deal with, but that will move me into new directions. Like the Mi Tierra album, I think, was very instrumental and probably the most special album of my career.
Why is that?
Because it was, it showed people a different side. It showed the roots, which was the people that knew me from the pop career probably didn't expect it, but it's very natural for me. It was the first music I ever sang for my grandmother in that kitchen, songs from the 20s and 30s of Cuba. And when I wrote these songs, I wrote them even with the types of lyrics that they used back then. I wanted to make it a piece that people would understand, even if they didn't understand the lyrics.
Was it all in Spanish?
All in Spanish,
right.
Yes. And it was so accepted worldwide. It was my first Grammy that I won, so I was thrilled about that.
Yeah. Let me talk a little bit about you and about the shaping influences. Your dad was part of the motorcycle police that guarded Batista's wife.
Yes.
And when Castro's revolution came in 1959, he insisted on being there and assuming his duty.
Yes. His father was commander in Batista's army, so it was a military family, and my father was raised in a military way. He loved the army and military, but his father wouldn't let him in because he didn't want to be accused of nepotism.
Right.
So he did the next best thing. He joined the police force, and he was a very good-looking guy, motorcycle cop. very, very moral man, wouldn't take bribes or even free cigarettes that they would offer him because he felt that that was, you know, not the right thing to do. So they knew him and they knew his reputation, and he was chosen to be in the motorcade escort. Batista's wife, and as well was a regular cop there in Cuba. And when the coup happened, he was on duty that night. There was a huge party, and he came home to my mother and he said, "We're in deep trouble. You know, the president has just left the country." And she said, "Don't go back," because there was mayhem happening. And he said, "I have to go back. You know, they're going to take my father, and things are going to happen, and I have to be there." And he went back, and they got thrown in jail. But then...
Was he thrown in jail with his father?
Yes, immediately, because they took everybody. Right. I mean, that was there. But since he had such a...
jailing.
Yeah, it was mass jailing. Since he had such a clean record, they let them go because they really had no history of anything wrong. And the minute they let him go, then he realized that he would have to get us out of the country because they wouldn't give him a job because of his ties to the Batista government. And he knew what was going on. They knew from inside what Castro was really about back then.
And what did they think of him?
They knew. I mean,
they knew he was a communist. They knew that he was going to...
Well, Castro wasn't even a communist, really. He, I think he was a communist because the states didn't pay attention to
the United States was not open to supporting a nationalism.
Exactly. And but they knew that he was very violent. They knew the things that had been going on when they were up in the mountains and the killings and the things that were happening. But the Cuban people at that time wanted to change, and I think it was bad timing on Bay of Pigs, plus what happened, obviously, that we find out now, all the things that happened, but it was just, the timing was very bad.
I ask you this because I've talked to you, and I know how smart you are. There was a report today that he may be sick.
I've heard that, yes. One of his doctors that had been in Cuba that claimed to have seen him. Exactly. I don't doubt it. I mean, obviously, the man, if you listen to his speeches, it doesn't make any sense. How can you talk for 7 hours and say nothing? But they keep that a highly guarded secret.
So when he dies, what happens?
You know, I think it's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of issues to resolve there. There's a lot of animosity. There's a lot of things, you know, each neighborhood has a KGB family type thing where they have been, you know, handing people over to the government if they catch you cooking something you're not supposed to have. The people don't have a history, as well as we, you know, have discussed about democracy. A whole new generation will have to grow up learning what it's like to be free, and it's going to be tough. I mean, probably they will still. I imagine they will still keep some of the things from communism or socialism, and as
some of the role of the state in the lives of people.
Because you can't just throw things open. It's going to be.
And
a
they
tough
have done
sell.
some good things in the sense of providing medical care and.
See, that's the fallacy, because they provide medical care that isn't there. There's nothing. There's no aspirin. If you go to a hospital, you have to take your own sheets. So the Communist Party has no problem getting things. The people get nothing. Even the dollar stores that they have there. If you have U.S. dollars, you can buy anything in Cuba. But with people with pesos, can't afford anything. So he's got an embargo on his people, really. He is a great promotion man, and even. The schooling, they say, well, everybody got schooling, but it was more of an indoctrination. You could fail any subject except Marx-Leninism, and it's a way of controlling the youth. They would have to turn their parents in if they heard something that wasn't supposed to be said in the home, and I think it was more of a form of control.
The embargo is a bad idea or a good idea?
Well, that's a rough issue. Morally, for me, I think we have to see some changes before just the embargo is lifted, because what's happening there is, if the embargo is such a bad idea, then why hasn't there been no change after all these European countries have gone in there and economically, you know, helped the country out? Cubans can't participate. They can't go into the hotels. They can't go into the clubs. They can't go to restaurants. I think if he were to change some things, definitely. At the same time, how do I know that if it's lifted, something might not happen? So it's a tough thing. I don't want the people there to suffer. So it's a tough sell. But morally, just to lift it, for me, would be hard to swallow. I think they're just pushing that for business and, you know, for people to get in there and get their foothold in Cuba.
And it doesn't hurt the people of Cuba because?
Well, I'll tell you this, because you can literally buy any product in Cuba, American products even, because they could buy through third countries. Right. Why does it have to be the United States that they buy it from? I mean, there's other businesses in there, and yet there's no change for the Cuban people. I would love to see the European community that's in there already as you know, as a strong force, say to Castro, okay, why don't you let the Cuban people be a part of this incredible thing that we're creating, the hotels, the tourist system? Why can't they just let them have some of the things that are there for them.
Well, you created some controversy in Miami not long ago.
Yes, that was something
This is my
else.
last thing about politics before we move on to music, in which you basically, there was a ban on, as I remember this, there was a ban on singers from, tell me about
music. Well, what it is MEDEM is an organization, a music organization that it's like a trade show for music, Caribbean music. And they weren't allowed to come to Miami because Cubans are a big part. How can you exclude Cubans from Caribbean music? It's a huge thing. It was funded by the government, helped by the county, and they didn't want to spend the county dollars on helping an organization that does business with Cubans because they brought the Cubans. Okay, I understand that. There's no reason for that to happen. It doesn't have to be tax dollars. But the problem was that a commissioner spoke her mind and said that she felt that it wasn't a good idea. She just gave an opinion, and she was fired from her position for that because the politicians in the commission were catering to the Cuban vote and thinking, you know, that they wanted to, especially the older Cubans, say, oh, I'm going to fire this woman, so, you know, they vote for him again. And that really upset me because it was my commissioner, one of them, that did this. And I thought it was dangerous. You can't fire someone for an opinion. I thought that was a horrible thing. And it matters not whether I agree or not with what she said. It was the fact that she was fired for that. And I wrote a letter to the editor, and a lot of people did.
Yeah, in the Miami Herald, yeah.
A lot of people did, but of course, you know, they're not named Gloria Estefan, and kind of got lambasted by the radio stations that were...
Is it a right-wing Cuban press?
Very much, and, you know, it's the older generation that I do understand them. I understand where they're coming from, their pain and whatever, but it was kind of hypocritical to me that they're lambasting me about this on one, you know, part of the show, and then the commercials would come on, and they go to Cuba with all this comfort. We'll get you there. So it was, it just got a little... ugly there.
But you're the only person that could have done that. I mean, you're a saint down there, so you could do this.
Well, I felt a responsibility because, honestly speaking, when I was at the University of Miami, I took a course called Literature of the Holocaust, and I came out of that course with one thing ingrained in me, and that was that silence is a dangerous animal. And in Miami, a lot of things were going on, little things here and there, protests and here and there that really were getting out of hand, that were... With my silence, it was like I was saying, this is okay, because we would, just to avoid controversy, and you kind of lay back and let them have their say. But then it got to the point where when this happened, it touched me deeply, and I feared. I thought, I have to say something, because if I don't, just because I'm a famous person, and just because I want to avoid this, I'm not going to be able to look at myself in the mirror, you know, and I wouldn't have respected
Did they try to
myself.
intimidate you?
I don't listen to that. You know, they try to say they're going to, you know, burn your CDs, whatever, but there's so many Castro agents in Miami. Well, they got to buy it first, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, they're going to buy them and burn them.
Exactly, but there's so many agents in there that are provocateurs. You know, they love to use these things to even goad the Cubans down there, and our image worldwide was suffering as well. And we're not that way. I mean, Cubans are just as plural, people as anybody, as this in the United States, and I wanted people to see both sides.
But you didn't go sing for the Pope.
Well, the thing was, that would have been a very political thing. It would have turned a beautiful spiritual event, which was very necessary for the Cuban people, and I thought it was wonderful that the Pope went. It would have turned it into a political fiasco, because for me to go down there is a different thing. And even to my father, I don't think that... I think it would have been an insult to his memory, and I really don't want to have to ask permission to any government to enter my own homeland, and it was just not a good thing for me to go.
In your mind, in your soul, in your heart, you're Cuban.
Definitely. Cuban-American.
Cuban-American?
Yeah, Cuban-American. I have some wonderful things that this country has allowed me to experience and to live. I've been here since I'm 2. It'd be tough for me to go back and live there, because I just have a different mentality.
And does that reflect most of those young people who are in Miami? Who say it, we're American. I mean, we want things to be right in Cuba, but we're not hell-bent to go back.
Exactly. I mean,
and
we
the
would
people
love
who want to go back are dying off.
Well, even if they went back, I don't think they would find the Cuba that they remember. I mean, it's a different world now. Nowhere in the world is the same 40 years later.
Do you want to play a role in the future of Cuba?
I would love to play a role to help them in some way, to serve maybe as a model for business for people there, maybe, you know, whatever, serve maybe some loans. I don't want anything from Cuba.
You don't want to be an ambassador to anywhere?
I don't want anything back. Politics is is a tough thing. I mean, I have, I think, more strength and power as a private citizen than as a politician.
You had a little tenure at the UN. You did all right.
Yes, and I learned a lot. It was an amazing experience. I did it for that, and I learned a lot of things.
Back to Cuba. You leave with your dad. You know, and what's remarkable about your dad is he had a battle with some illnesses, didn't he?
Well,
he finally went to Vietnam,
yes.
volunteered.
Yes, he did. His men.
And he died from Agent Orange.
He was in the U.S. Army because when the Bay of Pigs prisoners were exchanged by Kennedy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. He went back to.
He went back to Bay of Pigs.
Cuba.
He was a political prisoner there for 2 years. Came in the Kennedy exchange. And then they offered the Cubans that had been there an opportunity to join the Army if they would take intensive English and come in as officers. Of course, that was his dream because he was a military man. So he did. Their secret dream as the Cubans was to go back to Cuba from within the U.S. ranks and talk the U.S. government into going back on a second mission, but well organized and well done. That was never to be, of course, we know. But when Vietnam came up, my father felt that if he were ever going to be able to morally ask the U.S. for help, that he would have to be there to fight their battles, wherever that would be, for freedom. And his men that he had trained as well were going to be sent out. So there was no way he wasn't going to participate. He didn't have to go because he wasn't born in the U.S., but he went.
And therefore contact with Agent Orange, which led to his death.
Yes. It was labeled MS, multiple sclerosis, but he had many symptoms that all the men that came out of the base, a big percentage of them had this disease, so they definitely felt it was triggered and it was service-related.
So you come out of all this tough times, but loving music, Miami Sound Machine.
Miami Sound Machine was like my dream because music to me, like I said, was an interior process, and here all of a sudden I got the opportunity to join as a hobby and to do what I loved. I loved the rehearsals more. I kind of got through the performances because I was very shy. And since I was part of a group, it was great for me. I'd play maracas, hide behind the drums, hide behind here, and very slowly started, getting to be the front man of the group.
None of that shyness remains.
No.
None of it.
No, not
I
really.
mean, when you've sung before,
no.
What's the largest audience you've ever sung before?
About 150,000.
Live.
150,000 people, yeah. It was somewhere in Virginia, big festival there.
150,000.
Yeah, one pop there. Well, of course, if you don't count the Olympics, which you're singing live to billions of people there, or the Super Bowl that we've done as well. Those are high-stress situations.
Miami Sound Machine, and then you meet Emilio.
Emilio was the boss. He started the whole shebangle there.
Now, was this because he saw you and he said, there's one good-looking babe?
No.
Or did he see something else? Or
Definitely not.
Did he see a meal ticket for himself? He'd say,
no.
This is one talented babe, and I'm going to promote her.
What I think he saw was he had a band that didn't have a singer in it.
Right.
And
he saw a singer.
Yeah, and we went to a wedding, and at that time there were no girl singers in Miami, and music was pretty much a man's world back then. I'm talking 1975. Most of the groups were guys, lead singers and whatever. So he thought, hey, this is unique. We ran into each other in a wedding. We had met shortly before at a friend's house, and he heard me sing on my guitar from the folk masses and things. And he remembered me, and my mother dragged me to this wedding. I didn't want to go. So we run into each other in the doorway. He says, I remember you. They're like, why don't you sit in with the band? So I sat in, sang a couple of songs, Cuban standards. The people loved it because they knew me since I was a kid, and they gave me a standing ovation, whatever. So he said, I think it'd be a great idea to have a girl singer. Why don't you join? This is just a hobby for me. He had a day job, serious job.
He was Bacardi's marketing representative or something.
Yes, and he started as the mail boy there, so he had a long history with them as well. But we started for fun. He had a band in Cuba when he was 8 years old. He thought it would be a unique thing for his band to have a girl singer, and that was it.
Did they change the name to Miami Sound Machine, or did it became at some point Gloria, Estefan, and the Miami Sound Machine?
Yeah, well, we were the Miami Latin Boys at first.
Latin Boys is what I was thinking.
When we first did the record, we weren't boys anymore, and he thought, okay, she's going to stay. We'd been there long enough for that, so we changed. They gave us the Sound Machine, the small local company that signed us. We wanted to be just Miami, but you can't incorporate that. So we called it Miami Sound Machine. And then his idea was slowly, as I became more of the lead singer and whatever, to put my name out front because I was doing duets with Placido Domingo. And he goes, what are they going to say? Placido and the girl from Miami Sound Machine, you need your name out there. And I fought it because I was shy about that.
You fought it?
I fought it. I didn't feel the need to have my name out there. But he says, no, this is a good idea. This is good. And then little by little, went out there.
When did you know you had it made? In a sense that this, for whatever reason, my grandmother was right.
Oh my gosh, so many moments in my career that I've thought my grandmother was right. Because she said that It was my gift, and when you have a gift, you're supposed to share it with people.
When did you
and
know
have
you had a
destiny.
gift?
Well, I knew
early on.
I knew since a little baby that this was part of me. I didn't know why, but I knew that this was something
somebody had given you,
Yes.
God or somebody.
Something that was in me, and that was an expressive force in me, and I needed to do it. Whether I did it professionally or not didn't matter to me. I just needed to do it. I would lock myself up during my dad's illness in my room for 3-4 hours just singing, and it was my way of getting out all the emotions that were really tough to handle, you know, and
Writing songs about that time.
Writing, singing, exactly.
Then you were a big star, international star, and Latin music began to take off too, and you were there riding that wave big time.
Well, at first they didn't want that. I mean, when our record company, we kept trying to put more and more Latin music into our sound, and at the time we were a pop group. When we were very well known in Latin America, we were a North American group that sang in Spanish. We came everywhere through the back door, everywhere. And we'd say, we want to do more Latin sound. They go, don't do that, because if you put more of a Latin sound in it, you're going to, you know, shut off some people. And we go, this is who we are. We got to do what we feel honestly is us. And we pushed for it all the way. They would say, you're too Latin for the Americans and too American for the Latins. And we go, but that's who we are. And we just stuck with it. Thank God Emilio and I were a very strong force there. And
You two have always been a team.
Yes, we have. Yes,
in every way.
In every way. And when
This
we
is
started...
not, I mean, this is genuine, authentic, real thing.
Yeah, we fell in love with each other before any of this. And as a matter of fact, he was afraid almost to, you know, get into the relationship because things were going so well professionally. But we were both so attracted to each other that it just happened naturally. And we let it happen, watched it carefully, nurtured it. But it was always the love first.
2 children.
2 children, 2 beautiful children.
And then that terrible bus accident.
Yeah. Well, I only had one son.
At that time, yeah. You didn't think you could have another one after that accident.
Yeah, it was tough. That accident, we were at the peak of our career, really what you consider the peak.
What happened?
Yeah, one of those things. I mean, you're on the road,
Snowing.
Chances are it's going to happen. We left New York, sunny, beautiful day. I wasn't even supposed to come into the city. We came in for a dinner of a friend, and I didn't want to come. It was my only day off. We had just met President Bush, who had invited us to the White House because of, you know, the incredible, you know, Latin thing about our career and the fact that we represented the Hispanics in such a way. And anyway, he invited us, wonderful man. We had just met him. We were on a high. In fact, Emilio and I were talking about it yesterday. We were on a high talking about, oh, what a great moment. You know, we met the president. Our career was going so great. It was a beautiful sunny day. We leave the city. I take a nap on the bus on the way to Syracuse for a concert. And freak snowstorm in the Poconos, March 20th, 1990. And suddenly the bus stops. I open my eyes. I figure we're here. We had stopped because it was already an accident. Traffic was backed up.
An 18-wheeler or something?
We got sandwiched between 2 18-wheelers. We got hit at full 55 miles an hour, fully loaded 18-wheeler, because that's the only thing bigger than us on the road. Usually on a tour bus, you're very safe. And I don't know how the injury happened, but I broke my back. I was paralyzed, laying on the floor of the bus. I opened my eyes. It was like an explosion. That's all I can tell you. That's what it felt like. And my first thoughts were, you know, what happened? And I went to get up, and I couldn't move my legs. Emilio was standing over me, bleeding, looking in shock. I couldn't hear my son. I start going, the baby. Emilio's looking all over the bus for him. It was very dark. It was snowing in the bus by now. The front got ripped away, and it was tough. It was one of those moments that you dread, and especially me, after my father's experience. And once I saw my son sitting next to me, that he was okay, I didn't care about anything else. I thought, I'll take this a moment at a time. It took a while for the rescue to come, and the guys, the firemen, were joking with me, trying to keep my spirits up, make sure that I didn't, you know, go insane there. And we had a lot of help. There was a lady 7 cars back who held my head in place, said, don't move, you know. And it was just a tough, tough thing.
Were you thinking then, I'll never walk again?
You know, I didn't entertain that thought only because I've had a lot of intuitive things in my life. And when we built the house, I put an elevator in there thinking, oh, it's for luggage. But in the back of my mind, I always thought, one day I'm going to need this. I always take the stairs 2 at a time. And every time I would take those stairs up my house, I would say, I had a feeling that something was going to happen that was going to prevent me from doing this. But then at the same time, I had a feeling that came after this, said, but it's going to be okay. And that's the feeling I clung to when this happened to me, because I thought, here it is. Here's my biggest fear. And then I thought, it's going to be okay. I'm going to cling to that thought. And that's all I thought through the entire process. I didn't allow myself to think anything else and just took it a moment at a time.
And you made it back despite what the doctors thought might happen.
Yeah.
Because there beats in your heart, what, the soul of a fighter.
Oh, yeah.
You remembered your father, and you remember how this strong, handsome man had kind of withered away.
Very much so.
Because he didn't, you know...
I think he helped me a lot.
That image was there in your mind.
He helped me a lot. And the knowledge that I had gained through his illness helped me a lot, because I knew that muscles atrophy, so I threw myself into that recuperation. I knew exactly what it would be like for my family if I was in a chair. And it was worth it to fight for. I mean, your independence. I didn't care about the career. I just wanted to walk again and be an independent person and not be a burden.
One step at a time.
I didn't want to be a burden to them. And I've always been a person that thinks that every experience in life is a learning experience, and you become stronger, and you could either become bitter or you can learn from it. And I certainly wasn't going to become bitter. I was going to fight every step of the way.
How did Emilio help you?
Emilio, I don't think I could have done it without him. He didn't leave my side for 3 months. He was so supportive. He was an amazing man. And situations like this sometimes break up people, because some people feel they can't handle something. But since there was a truly deep love there, he nurtured me back, and he got me back into writing again sooner than I really wanted to.
And you wrote about these experiences and all the stuff you're feeling.
Song coming out of the
catharsis.
dark. It was, and it made me feel productive, and that's the most important thing for any person that has a handicap. You know, your body's just a vehicle. Whether you're in a chair or in this flesh and blood, you're still the same person inside, and it's very important to still feel you have something to contribute in any way, in some way, to your family, you know, just being there spiritually, mentally. That's why I wanted to be strong for them as well. It was important to me.
Now you've passed 40.
Mm-hmm.
You're at the top of your game.
I feel great.
Anything that's unfulfilled for you?
No.
Nothing.
I cannot say that. I mean, as a career...
They said you wouldn't have a baby. You had a baby.
I had a baby girl who's the joy of our lives, and I give thanks for her every moment.
Good career, good family, good marriage.
Yeah. I could not ask for more. All I wanted is to be able to enjoy it, see my kids grow up to be healthy, happy adults, you know, maybe be a grandparent someday, just the stuff everybody wants. And to enjoy and to use my unique situation to, you know, influence people in a positive way and make them feel optimistic, because that's what music did for me. I mean, I think music has to show all spectrums, obviously from the negative to the positive, but my particular niche is one where I want to inspire people, to let them keep going.
I've really enjoyed this. You're quite young and remarkable and,
thank you very much.
Passionate and political, all the things that I like. So
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure for me.
Keep it up.
It's nice to talk to someone, you know, any interruptions, wonderful.
Yeah. We go out with a soundtrack and with a CD from, with a video from this album. Oh, yeah. Take a look.
Yeah.
We'll be
That's
right
a hot
back.
one.
Stay with us.